Okay, welcome devotees to today's class. We are continuing with Gyan Yoga, chapter number 15 to begin with today. And before we start, let us pray to Shri Radha Govindji and also seek the blessings of Nam Nishtha Das Prabhuji, the temple president at Kulai, ISKCON Kulai, Mangalore. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjan Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Om Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Peshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedant Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Desha Tarini Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda He Krishna Karna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagat Pate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Shri Radhi Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Hare Hare. So welcome devotees once again to today's class. So in the last chapter which we covered, that was chapter 14, Krishna said that he was the basis and supreme shelter of Brahman. And from Brahman stage, one has to rise above, perform devotional service and rise above to the level of Bhagwan feature of realization. That is performing bhakti or devotional service. But at the same time, Krishna mentioned in chapter 14 that attachment to Krishna can take place only when we are detached from this material world. And that is the beginning of devotion. Devotion cannot begin so long we remain attached to this material world. So one has to develop some kind of detachment from this material world. And in this chapter, that is chapter number 15, the Purushottam Yoga, Lord is going to describe the process of how to get detachment from this material world. And this sansar, we know, is ashwashwatam. It is temporary. It is not real. It is not eternal. And it is dukhala. It is full of miseries. So now we have to get rid of this material world, or this world which is full of miseries for all of us. We may apparently say that we are happy, but that happiness is only transitory for a moment only. Actually, we are not happy. As soon as something happens, we try to derive happiness, but it is transitory, and it is only a phase or time matter. So now Lord Krishna in this chapter mentions that this world is compared to a inverted. This is what we had in chapter 14. I'll skip it. In chapter 15, Lord Krishna is going to describe how to detach ourselves from the, this material world, and what is Purushottama Yoga or transmigration, how does it takes place, Krishna's position as maintainer, and ultimately the three slokas Bhagavad Gita which summarize the Vedas and the purpose of Veda. In fact, people get involved into the ritualistic aspects of Veda only without knowing the real purpose of Veda. The real purpose of Veda is to know Krishna. So this is going to be explained in verse number 16 to 20. So we'll take up section 1, section A, which has 5 verses, 1 to 5, becoming detached from the material world, the reflection of the spiritual world. Now, before we proceed, Hare Krishna. Before we proceed, in fact, we can see that this world is compared to this material world is compared to the spiritual world. But the spiritual world is just like a normal tree that we see, the roots in the ground and the branches and stem rising up towards the sky. But this material world, that is the position of spiritual world. The position of material world is that it is upside down. Now, have you seen a tree which is upside down anywhere? Has anybody seen it?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, where did you see?
At the bank of river.
Yeah, by the shore of a river or the bank of a river, if there is a tree standing, then the image of that reflection of that tree is seen as upside down. The roots are up and the branches are pointing towards down. Now, Lord Krishna has compared this world with this material world is compared to the reflection of the inverted tree. So I'll take up this one verse, this tree first. You can see that this is on the right hand side picture. This is a tree which has got these roots are here, and the Lord Brahma is sitting over this place, and the roots are emanating. Everything is originating from Lord Brahma, all the living entities. So this material world also has originated from Lord Brahma, and in bit and there is an ocean of desire which has created this material world, and beyond this desire there is a
So the same slide. Slide is not visual.
slide is not visible. Oh, sorry. I have to share again. In fact, it was paused. Now, can you see this, Prabhuji? Is it visible now?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes, sir.
So Lord Krishna has compared this material world with the reflection of the spiritual world. The spiritual world is compared to a tree. The tree, when seen through, as just now Mataji mentioned, that in the static waters of a river, we can see images or reflection of a tree standing on the bank of the river. So this tree is inverted. In material world is not, we see it as a real one. We consider it as upside down, not upside down. We consider it as a straight up tree because that is what we are used to, because our three modes of material nature and our desires have made us look at this material world as the right place. We seem to be happy here, but really we are not happy. So the desire is the interface between the desire of living entities has created this material world or the inverted banyan tree. And this is a spiritual world where higher planets are located. So this is just a reflection of this material world is just a reflection of a spiritual world, which is located in the spiritual skies. So this word, this material world has its roots coming out from Brahmaloka or the Lord Brahma. We know he is the creator of everything. And this tree has got many aspects here. There are branches which are going up and down. There are subsidiary branches. There are twigs. There are stems. There are certain, other fruits. And there are leaves and there are tips of leaves. And each one has got certain kind of. The subsidiary branches are dharma, arth, kam, and moksha. These sense gratification, religiosity, economic development, and this liberation. So these now higher branches represent higher planets. That is Brahmaloka, Suryaloka, Indraloka, and all those branches. And the lower branches represent the planets which are lower down. That is animal planets, aquatics, birds, where human beings, aquatic birds, animals, then snakes, and all kind of living entities live there. And people are jumping from one branch to the other branch, sometimes from lower to higher and sometimes from higher to. That shows that living entities are repeatedly taking birth in other high planet. Sometimes on account of pious activities, they go up to higher planets, and ultimately they return to lower planets and take different forms of life that are described here, like cow, animal, birds, aquatics, and beasts, and trees, and all those kind of things. The Vedic hymns, the twigs represent the sense objects. The leaves represents the tips of the twigs represent, senses or sense organs, and the leaves represent the Vedic hymns. And pious acts are performed, then person goes to higher planets or higher branches. And when impious activities are performed, he goes down to the lower planets or lower form of life. But that is an indication that whether Vedic hymns or pious activities are not going to liberate us. They are in mode of goodness. That is what we learned in chapter number 14. They are in only mode of goodness, and they are binding. They lead us to a bondage of life and death, or that means the birth and death cycle. Whereas we have to cut down this tree. That means we have to detach ourselves from this tree by the knowledge, by this weapon of the knowledge, that is Asanga Shastrena. And how we have to sharpen this, you can see a person here, this person you can see here, he is trying to cut this tree. He wants to cut the tree. That means he wants to rise above even the level of liberation and go to the Goloka Vrindavan or the superior highest planets. So one has to know the problems which are happening in this material world and why we are suffering, why there is unhappiness, why there are dualities in our life, and we have to cut ourself, our connection with this material world by cutting these branches. This is symbolic here only. And we have to be with full determination, by full drad iksha shakti, we have to cut this tree and rise above the material world to the higher planes. So this is just a brief summary before we actually start this chapter today. So yes, anybody would like to read this verse from number 1, Bhagwan Uvacha?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji, please continue.
May I, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji, please continue. Unmute yourself.
Yes, Prabhuji. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Urdhvamulavat Shakha Aswastham Prahuravayam Chandansi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedavit.
Yes, the translation is given out right side picture. But
Said. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its root upward and its branches down, and those leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter.
so this entire material world is compared to a banyan tree. Banyan tree, we know it is called Akshay Vat. It normally has very, very long life, very, very long life, thousands of years, and it does not die, in fact, or does not get dried up. So it has got multiple roots, and the roots are coming, the roots are routed in the ground, but in fact, some stems also branches or subsidiary branches also come, they also continue to form the root or basis of this. So in this material world, one is wandering from one branch to another, that is higher planets to lower planets. That means he is taking repeated birth. The Vedic hymns, you can see here in this picture, Vedic hymns represent that whatever pious activities, whatever smaran, nama smaran or sankirtana or mahamantra we are chanting, that is Vedic hymns, chanting of Vedic hymns. And by chanting Vedic hymns, one rises to higher planets, higher levels. So one gradually elevates himself this way. So why we need to understand this tree of illusion? Because it is not real tree. It is, we have to get out of this tree by the knowledge. And the knowledge, Lord Krishna has already given the process of knowledge in 3 modes of material, how 3 modes of material nature bind us. This knowledge was given by Lord Krishna in the previous chapter. So going ahead with this, in this section. Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
In this section of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna talks about material world, how a living entity gets entangled in the material world, spiritual world, which is the actual source of the material world, and the need for developing detachment. The analogy of a banyan tree is used to show how the material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world.
So we have already mentioned this thing, that it is a just inverted. So it is perverted. It is not a straight, because like the reflection of a tree in a water bed. So similarly, this tree, this material world is inverted and perverted because it is not real. The real thing is in the spiritual world. So one has to detach himself from this material world if he wants attachment to Lord Krishna. Yes, Mataji. Please continue.
Yes, Prabhuji. Lesson that can be learned from this analogy are material world. Lord Krishna compares the material world to an inverted banyan tree with its root upward and branches downward because it is being reflected on the water. This can be seen of a tree standing on the bank of a body of water. The tree is analyzed with the spiritual world and reflection to the material world. The desire of the living entities are compared to water. Desire are the cause where living beings are situated. A living beings performing fruitive activity is like a bird jumping from the branches to branches, enjoying the fruit of the trees, which are dharma, artha, kama, and moksha.
So the desire is the basis of this material world. Because a person had certain desires, unfulfilled desires, certain propensities at the time of living. So that somehow that conceptions were carried over with the soul to the next form of life, and accordingly, Lord granted that form of life which person desired. So here, this entire material world is situated on the desires of living entities. That is what we see here. And living entities they are happy, they are contented in this material world, knowing because they are ignorant, they do not possess the knowledge that what is the real nature of the tree, that is spiritual world. And result is one keeps on enjoying himself, jumping from one branch to another branch, going to higher planets or to lower planets. And what he is doing, the fruits are dharma, arth, and kam, moksha. That is religiosity, economic development, liberation, and these are the fruits of the tree which person keeps on enjoying. Yes, Mataji. But this is inverted and perverted. So it is not real, it is virtual only. We see that the reflection of tree that we see in a riverbed is real, is not real. The real is the tree, which is the spiritual world. Yes, Mataji. Are you able to see my screen? Hare Krishna. Chanda Mataji, are you there? Anybody? Pankaj Dubey, Prabhu, you would please continue.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. The material world.
The material world is not only unreal or perverted, the reflection of spiritual world, but it is temporary. The tree is not going to live forever. Similarly, all living entity wandering in the material world are not going to be permanently situated at one place. Based on their activities, there is two possibility. Some living entity might get liberated from clutches of material energy and go back to spiritual world.
So this material world is inverted reflection of a real world, so it is not real. That means everything which is present in this material world is also not real, and it is not shashwat. It is not eternal. Everything is changing here. We know that everything is changing. Like Lord Brahma has got a certain lifespan. So similarly, this tree also has got a lifespan ultimately. But we have a very small lifespan. We cannot see things in toto. We cannot see everything in as they are because of our limitation of our senses of vision. Now, there are two possibilities. So the living entity is enjoying this material world, considering it to be a happy place. But what he is doing, he is using eating the fruits. Earth, calm, dharma, and moksha. All these things, activities are being performed by the living entity, and sometimes he is getting elevated to high planets, and sometimes falling down to or getting degraded to lower planets. But he is happy there because he does not possess the knowledge. Yes, Prabhuji.
Other living beings are either promoted or thrown down into lower planetary system or lower species of life. No living entity, right from the Lord Brahma to the insufficient and
Insignificant.
will live forever. Both has duration of lifespan, after which they have to take birth in different body. Lord has said that this material world is duk, duk, dukhalayam, as, aswatham, the place of
Ashwashastam.
aswastham, a place of misery and temporary. Everything that we see in the material world is actually exist in spiritual world. The form of quality in the spiritual world is completely different, made up of set chit on ananda, externality, knowledge, and bliss. Nothing in the spiritual world is formless, without any qualities, existing as the impersonal light, which is very
Personal.
much personal.
So, two things are emphasized here. This word is a dukhalayam, that is a house of miseries, and ashwashwatam. Ashwashwatam means it is not shashwat, it is not eternal. It is subject to change or it is subject to decay. So everything, whatever we see in this material world, all these things exist in the spiritual world also, because it is a reflection. So when reflection is of complete things, it does not selectively displays few things and omit certain things. So it is everything what we see in material world is present in spiritual world, but it is not real. It is subject to change. So what is now the Lord is telling in this verse also, that spiritual world is Satchit Anand. It is eternal, it is blissful, it is full of knowledge. So that means it is personal. Now this concept refutes the theory of Mayavadis or the Brahmavadis that Lord is not a personal. Lord is not a person. He is just Brahma Jyoti. He is and Jyoti, the source of Jyoti, they do not know. So, but for devotees, it is the spiritual world is the place where Lord Krishna resides. That is Goloka Vrindavana and abode of Lord Krishna, where he is in a Satchit Anand. He is eternal. He is present there since time immemorial. Secondly, he is full of knowledge and he is in a state of bliss. He is not affected by any modes of material nature because they are his own creation. So this word is, the spiritual word is personal. That is a refutation of Mayavadi theories that there is no God does not have a body or is not a person. He is just a feature or some kind of light. Yes, Prabhuji.
The leaf of tree are compared to the Vedic hymns. The living entity is hopping from the branch to branch, trying to taste the fruit called dharma, artha, kama, etc. One should not become the bewildered by the leaf and the fruit of enjoyment. One need to understand the purpose of Vedas, which is to know the Lord, the, the
Compiler.
compiler of Vedanta,
Yeah,
compiler of
compiler.
Vedanta.
Thank you. So living entity, we just saw that he's jumping from one branch to another. Sometimes he's doing good activities, pious activities, sometimes impious activities, doing dharma, arth, kam, and moksha. And ultimately, liberation is not, because of fruitful activities, the liberation is not complete. The person keeps on returning to earth and getting new life, new form of life based on the past karmas. So now the Vedic hymns represent the leaves. Leaves represent the Vedic hymns. The fruits, of course, are dharma, artha, kama, moksha, four. Then one needs to understand the purpose of Veda. Purpose of Veda, though Vedas normally are considered to be karma kand they are giving description of so many karma kand, how to this puja, how to do this worship, how to do fasting, what are the things required for doing fasting, and all kind of those karma kand things are given. So the purpose of Veda, of doing all these karma kand, is to know Krishna, to render devotional service to Krishna. So because without this knowledge, the knowledge of Veda is incomplete. And who gave this knowledge of karma kanda and through knowing Krishna through Vedas or through karma kandas? That is the Lord Krishna himself, because he gave the vision to Vedvyasji, who wrote these Vedas. Yes, Prabhuji.
Ad, Adhas kar karvatvam prasatas tasya sakha guna pravradha visaya pravalah adas cha mulyan anusanta tani karmanasbanditni manusuyo loke. The branch of tree is extended downward and upward, nourished by the three mode of material nature. The twigs are object of sense. The tree also has the root going down, and these are bound of fruitive action of human society.
So we saw that branches of that tree, banyan tree, imperishable banyan tree, they were going up as well as down, up towards the higher planets, that is Suryaloka, Indraloka, Gandharvaloka, and all other Chandraloka, so many other higher planets, and they were being for nourished by three modes of nature. The tree will not exist if there was no desire and there was no three modes of material nature. If the person was transcend the three modes of material nature, then he needs not to be here in the material world. He is a candidate fit for going to a spiritual world. So, but because we have got so many desires, so many gunas, the rajasic, tamasic, or sattvic, this tree is getting nourishment because of our desires. The twigs are the object of senses. The twigs are, and the tips of leaves are the Vedic leaves are Vedic hymns, and the tips of the branches are in fact the senses organ which are enjoying this thing. So this tree also has roots going down. We know in the Bhatt some of the branches come out from the upper branches, they hang down towards the ground and they ultimately become roots. So these are called subsidiary branches. These subsidiary branches are also present there in the and these are bound to the fruitive actions of the human society. So the branches, secondary branches or subsidiary branches which are coming down, they are basically pious and impious acts which are binding us. They are going down, these are bound to the fruitive actions. Fruitive actions, whether it is a pious activity or impious activity, everything binds us. And we have seen in last chapter, the three modes of material nature, that even mode of goodness, what to talk of mode of passion and ignorance. Mode of goodness also person gets bound by his action because he's happy. He has a sense of possessing higher knowledge because he has a sense of pride. So these are the three factors. They also are binding in even mode of goodness. And Lord Krishna ultimately said that one has to rise above these three modes of material nature because they are material in nature. One has to transcend these three modes. The process he gave, the process of devotional service through which one can get unbound by the three modes of material nature and rise to the transcendence level. So you can see this here, that branches, some of the branches are going down also. Yes, Prabhuji.
The branches of banyan tree are spread in all directions. In the lower part, there is a variegated manifestation of living entity, human being, animal, horse, cow, dog, cat, etc. Whereas on the upper part of higher form of living entities, the demigod, Gandharvas, and many other species of life. As the tree is nourished by water, so there is so this tree is nourished by the three mode of material nature. Just as some tract of land are barren and some tract green depending on the availability of water, depending on the prevalence of particular mode of material nature, different spices of life and manifested. Twins of the tree are considered to be the sense of object, sight, smell, sound, taste, form, touch, and so on.
So this the higher planets, we mentioned that higher branches represent higher planets, that is those lokas, and lower planets represent the earthly planets and the planets below the earth of Bhuloka. So now we know that below earth there are 7 other loka up to the Patal loka. So Sutal, Patal, and Patal, these are some of the Mahatal, these are the lokas below the, and where different form of living entities like insects, birds, even aquatic birds are there, aquatic life, serpents, so many other life forms live, and the lowest is Patal loka. So based on their own desires or mode of material nature, the lower planets also have got, or the lower branches also have got certain features, and they are mentioned here as based on the prevalence of particular mode of material nature, different species of life are manifested. Whatever mode of material nature of aquatic life, or the birds which are in the sea, or the animals, sea animals, they have got certain mode of material nature. Based on that, there and availability of water. Water we know is represents here. The water is the nourishment. Water represents basically desires, and nourishment is provided by the 3 modes of material nature. So according to the capacity to enjoy through their sense organs, basically, the sight, smell, sound, taste, these branches are accordingly designed or fashioned for different kind of animals. Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji, sorry. By development of different modes of nature, we develop the different sense, with eyes, ear, nose, skin, mouth, and analogies of to the tip of the branch. Through the sense, we enjoy different varieties of sense object. Sense are associated with the enjoyment of different sense object. Subsidiary root are attached and a versions which are by product of different varieties of suffering and the sense of enjoyment. The tendency toward the pity and impity are considered to develop from these secondary roots, which spread in all directions. The real root is from Brahmaloka, and other roots are different in human planetary system. After one enjoys the result of virtuous activity in the upper planetary system, he come down to the earth and renew the karma or fruitive activity for promotion. The planet of human being is the earth is considered the field of activity.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So we know that vultures or eagles have got a very sharp eyes. They fly 1,000 or hundreds of miles above the Earth's surface, but they can see. The a snake, we know that is very high sense of hearing, and hearing means that any kind of disturbance or noise. So sound is perceived by the snake in very fast manner. Humans have got their sense organs, of course, and we know there are certain physically challenged persons who, if they lack one sense organ, then the other sense organ develops proportionately in a very stronger manner. So according to different mode of material nature, the person or the living entity develops his one or other senses, or maybe all senses. That is skin, mouth, and eyes. These represent the tips of these branches. So through tips of branches that which represent the senses, the individual wants to enjoy. In a snake, whether an animal, whether a deer, or the deer, we know the sight is for some animals, vision is very strong in certain living entities, hearing is very strong in certain, and the power of a smell is very strong in certain animals. because they had that material mode of nature dominant in their uh, physical body, and that is how they develop this sense. So through these sense they want to enjoy the respective sense objects, and they are and they want to enjoy. That means they want to get trapped or bound by that particular mode of material nature. So subsidiary roots, which I just now mentioned, that from the upper branches or stems, there are certain branches which are going down into the earth and they form the root. They represent attachment. Root is there to fix the plant, so that they represent our attachment tendencies. And because we now we get attached, so that is why we suffer. We get attached to certain aspects in our daily life. If we get attached, sometimes we get dejected and we are unhappy. So sometimes we keep on enjoying them and feel that we are happy, and sometimes we are unhappy. So these tendencies ultimately result into our pious and impious activities. And pious and impious activities represent, again, whether we go up into the higher planetary system or we go down to lower or degraded form of life. So this is how the things are happening in this world, material world, which is just an inverted reflection. And this tree, I have tried to explain. Picture we have already seen here, that coming point number 0.1, this is the spiritual world, you can see, and this is the water, which is interface between the spiritual world and the material world. And within this water, we can see the inverted or reflected image of this tree. So the water, it is reflection on desire. Water represents our desire. The roots, then we can see that roots are emanating from Brahmaloka, or from the abode of Lord Brahma. Real roots, in fact, are of this tree. But this material, the roots of material tree they are just growing upward, where the roots we know grow down into the earth or ground. So, but the spiritual world, they are going growing down in the earth, whereas the roots of material, they are growing upwards towards Brahmaloka, from where they are originating. Second roots are going downwards, they are going to Bhuloka, because of our propensities, we want to remain attached to the Bhuloka, or to our actions and reactions. So attachment and aversions, they bound the branches to this is what is happening in our. So these are upper and lower branches which are going up and down. Then leaves represents the Vedic hymns. Twigs represents sense objects. Tips of the branches represent senses. We have already discussed those senses. Based on the mode of material nature, some or other senses very, very developed. And that fruits are dharma, arth, kam, and moksha. Those are enjoyed by the living entity, forgetting that he has to go beyond liberation. Then living entities' involvement, how they are involved in this material world, hops from one branch to another, trying to taste the fruit. So from one branch to another person, we saw in this picture, that person is sitting here. He is a pious person doing sankirtana, and there is a person who is sitting in the lower branch doing some kind of activity, entertaining himself or something. And there are people who are, this picture shows about sense gratification, and there is a couple who are enjoying himself, and this is an impious act. And then there is religiosity. There are people who are pious in nature, they are doing worship. Then there are people who are working very hard to earn a lot of money and enjoy themselves for their sense gratification. They are more in mode of passion. They are working for economic development only, hankering for sense objects and sensory comforts. And there are, you can see this person here who is doing some kind of kirtana, because he's doing dharma. He is using consuming the fruits of dharma, and he's doing religious activities. And Vedic hymns of course live. And there is a person who is looking for liberation. He has risen up to the highest level of this banyan tree, and he is beyond earth, dharma, and kam. He is seeking liberation from this world. So this is how the tree is working. Now, living entities, firstly, I told you they are jumping from one branch to another, that is enjoying fruits, as well as going to higher form of life or lower form of life. Then up and down is up. and can't see how far the tree. This tree is eternal. There is no end to it. There is no beginning to it, and there is no middle of it. People are just enjoying, because this is what is happening with us. We consider our material world where we are living with that to be the perfect thing, that we know the limitations of this bhumandal, or then we can see at the most many countries, many planets, and many universes, but not beyond that. So this is what is happening for us. So we forget all the living entities are eternal fragmental parts of Lord Krishna, but they are struggling very hard. They are very, in fact, struggle is our day-to-day feature of our life. We know for everything we have to struggle. For getting small things done, we have to struggle. For getting admission in a good university or a good college, then getting good salary, good job, everywhere there is a struggle. But we are happy here. We do not know that this world is inverted. This material world is not the real world. So find one in the knowledge and surrenders to the Lord. One who is at the stage of liberation, or one who is have a dhrana nishchay, or dhrane asanga sastrena, that is, he sharpens his weapon of detachment with the firm determination, and he wants to cut this tree and go up to the spiritual world itself. He realizes that this world is temporary. It is dukhalayam, it is ashashvat. So such a person wants to cut away the branches of this material world and rise to the level of Goloka Vrindavana. So now, how can one do this thing? Lord Krishna is going to tell this thing. These are just summary of what we have already discussed. This is Goloka Vrindavana, or the eternal spiritual world. This is our temporal world, which is Brahmaloka. Brahma, we know, is also a living entity. He has got a limited lifespan also. Maybe billions of years, but of course. So these what the different part of this tree represent, that is given in a tabulated form here. We have already discussed it. Yes. Anybody else would like to read these verses now? Yes, Richa Jan Mataji, please continue.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Na rupam syehe tathorpalabhyate nanto na chardina cha sampratishtha ashvathemenam suviruddhamula masangshasтрена dhradain chitva tatha padam tatparimargitavyam yasmi gata na nirvattanti bhuya tamev chadhyam purusham prapadhye yata pravritti prasrita purani.
Thank you, Mataji. So this word is very, so viruna moolam asanga shastrena dranena chitva. Chitva means cut down, dranen means with firm determination, shastren means weapon, and asanga is, that means detachment. Sang is attachment, and asanga is detachment. So by firm determination, this weapon of detachment has to be sharpened, and the branches to be cut down. That is the essence of this material world. This is what Lord Krishna is emphasizing. Yes, Mataji. You can see that the tree has been cut down and is lying, branch is lying down. So this is asanga sastrena, which has been done with a firm determination, because it is not easy to cut such a mature tree or branch or the stem of such a mature tree. But because there was determination, that is how it could be cut down. But how can we cut down this our attachment to the material world? By asanga shastrena, by firm determination to detach ourselves or cut down these branches. Yes, Mataji.
The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this tree with the weapon of detachment. So doing, one must seek that place from which, having once gone, one never returns, and there surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything has begun, and in whom Everything is abiding since time immemorial.
So there is only one place from where once he reaches there, then he never returns. And how one can reach there? By transcending the three modes of material nature. This is what we learned in last chapter. And what was the process? Lord Krishna described the devotional service is the only process, and it is a gradual process. First, one has to detach him from material world. Then he has to develop Shraddha. Then after Shraddha, he has to get attachment to Krishna. And from attachment to Krishna, he first realizes the Brahman feature of Lord Krishna. That is the lowest form of God realization. Thereafter, Paramatma form of God realization. And from Paramatma to Bhagwan feature of God realization. This is what we learned in last chapter, the three modes of material nature. So one has to cut the place from where one never returns. One never returns. That is only Goloka Vrindavan. And even all other planets where demigods are residing, they are not they are not permanent, eternal, and the persons living there are also not eternal or permanent. They also have got certain life. And the second point, which is mentioned in verse number 4 and 5, very important, that this tree, where is the foundation, the roots, where they are coming from, what is the beginning, what is the end, what is the middle of this tree, that cannot be understood by the living entities, because we are residing in a very small, minute area only. We cannot comprehend the whole sitting in this. This is, yes, Mataji.
The real form of this banyan tree cannot be understood in this material world. It exists in the spiritual world. The root of the reflected tree is upwards, and the extension of the real tree is at the other end. Entangled with the material expansions of the tree, the extent of the tree cannot be seen. The origin of the tree also cannot be located. However, the cause has to be traced. Analogy, like how I am the son of my father is the son of so and so, etc. Such a search reaches one to Brahma, generated by Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. Finally, the search ends in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is achieved only the association of persons who know about the Supreme Lord.
Thank you, Mataji. So here in verse number 3 and 4, we have seen how we can cut it. And finally, one has to understand that this banyan tree is not real. It is just reflection of the spiritual world, and it has got everything which is in this world. This tree is perishable, is subject to change, maybe 1,000 years or maybe many thousand years. So one has to have the inquiry, Athat Brahma Jigyasa. Why I am here, why this tree is there, what is the purpose of being here in this life, who am I, all this kind of jigyasa or this self-inquiry has to be there. So analogy is given, I am the son of my father, who was the father of my father, and who was the father of his father, and who like this kind of. So we had to know this, what is the origin of this material world. This origin of material world is from spiritual world. So where is my place? And why I am here? Do I belong to this place, or I am? But Lord, in verses to come, says that Mamai Vansho Jeev Loke Jeev Bhuta Sanata. That the all living entity, Lord Himself proclaims that all living entities are my part and parcel. All the living entities. So we have to know that who am I, why I'm here, what I am doing here, and what is the object or purpose of life. When one knows this, one reaches finally to have the knowledge, acquires this knowledge that I am eternal, I am part and parcel of Lord Krishna. Yes, Mataji?
On acquiring this knowledge, one becomes gradually detached from this false reflection of reality, situating himself in the real tree. The word asanga sastrena, weapon of detachment, is very significant, as the attachment for sense enjoyment and lording over the material nature is very strong. After being enlightened in the association of devotees, one must first surrender to the Lord. Once one succeeds reaching the supreme abode, one never returns to this false reflected tree.
So, what is our position, in fact? Our position is that we are so much grossly involved in our own sense enjoyment, and we are so grossly attached to those senses that, and also we want to lord over the material nature. We want to exercise our proprietorship over our land, our house, our resources. We do not know that this belongs to Krishna, who has created all these material world for his personal enjoyment only, not for our sense gratification. One who realizes that this principle that it belongs to Lord Krishna, or uses it miserly, just his own share or her own share, then person is said to be knowledge. And gradually this is how one reaches Supreme Personality of God or Godhead. Yes, Mataji.
The Supreme Lord Krishna is the original root from where everything has emanated. Lord has himself says, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava. I am the origin of everything. Devotional service has to be done through Navvidha Bhakti. Therefore, to get out of entanglement of this strong banyan tree of material life, one must surrender to Krishna. As soon as one surrenders unto Krishna, one becomes detached automatically from this material extension.
Thank you, Mataji. So we are in material world and we are attached to the material world. And if we realize this reality of this material world, that it is not real, it is just reflection of the spiritual world, we do not belong to this world, then we have to use our Asanga Shastrena and know the source by that is the weapon of detachment. We have to cut our relations with this material world and know our source and reach that particular source, and that is Krishna. So one surrenders. So verse 3 and 4 pictorial summary is given here. Yes, Mataji.
The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in the world. Use the X of detachment. The tree is not real, but a reflection of a real tree. Impossible to fully understand the real tree. Solution: cut down this with the X attachment. Then one must go beyond the tree and surrender to Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So this is how we can get desired result. Now, what real form cannot be understood? Why we cannot understand real form? I just now mentioned that we cannot understand the foundation, the roots, the middle, the end, or the beginning of this material world. So why real form of tree cannot be understood? This is explained. Yes, Madam.
Because root is up and extension is at the other end. When we are entangled in material expansion, one cannot see how far the tree extends and where is the beginning.
Yeah.
How to find out the cause? Fathers to Brahmloka, to Garbhodaksai Vishnu, to Krishna. Krishna is the end of research work. How to search out that origin? From association of persons is knowledge of Supreme Personality of Godhead. What are the benefits of this knowledge? Gradually become detached from false reflection. Cut off this connection. Actually become situated in the real tree. Importance of the word asanga. Asanga sastrena dhradena chitva. But with determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with a weapon of detachment. Detachment is the only way out of the tree. How? Find one in knowledge, surrender to the Lord, attain the eternal abode.
Yeah. So now this is going to be explained in the coming verses. Up to 15.4, we say, find one in knowledge. And who is one in knowledge? The spiritual master. In our times, the bona fide spiritual master who has come in from successive disciplinic succession, he is the right source who can guide us. Now, after guiding him, what we have to do, this is given in the verse number 5 and further number in the 6. So, yes, Mataji, 15.5.
Nirmana moha jita sanga dosa adhyatma nitya vinivrata kamha dvandvair vimuktaha sukha dukha samajenara gachante amudha padam avyam tat. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with the material rust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom.
Thank you, Mataji. So earlier Lord said that in chapter number 14, Lord said 3 modes of material nature, how the soul is bound. Then he mentioned how to get freedom from these 3 modes of material nature. The process he described, and therefore ultimately he said thereafter one who gets freedom from 3 modes of material nature, he realizes Brahman stage, and from Brahman to Paramatma and Paramatma to Bhagwan stage. Now again here, Lord Krishna is saying, in the previous slide we saw who is the father, who is the father's father, father's father. Then this gradual process was that we come to know that we have come from Brahmaloka, and Brahmaloka, in Brahmaloka, there beyond Brahmaloka there is Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and Garbhodakshai Vishnu is nothing but expansion of Sankarshana, and Sankarshana is just nothing else but he is a second, after Balram, he is second expansion of Lord Krishna. So this is how we can trace our roots, and then when we trace our roots, we want to detach ourselves from this material world. So from after tracing the root, we have to work upon surrendering towards that source or Lord Krishna, and after only surrender, one can go to his Goloka Vrindavana. Now, surrender, we cannot surrender to Krishna directly here. We need to have someone who is in knowledge, who can guide us to this process of surrender. And who is that person? The bona fide spiritual master. But before we surrender to bona fide spiritual master, or Krishna or his bona fide representative, one has to possess these qualities. One has to become free from false prestige or pride. We know we are suffering from false ego. We identify ourselves with our physical position, material position, degrees, wealth, house, cars, dress, and all those things. Those are material things. We identify ourselves with those things, that I am such and such, I am such and such manager, or I am this owner of this company, or something like that. So we are puffed up. Because our soul is conditioned. That is why we have to cultivate this knowledge that I am not this thing. This is all real. This is all temporary, and it will go one day. So Lord is Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the only owner. So one has to get freedom from self-pride or self-ego. Second is freedom from illusion. What is illusion? Pride is due to illusion. We know why we are proud, because we are under illusion. Illusion means Maya. And what is Maya? We are under clutches of Maya. Every moment, Maya is taking control of us. Whatever we want to do good things, say, like getting up at 4 in the morning for doing japam, or attending the Mangala Arati at temple at 4:30, the sleep, one other aspect of us will speak, let us lie down for 10 minutes more. And that 10 minutes means 30 minutes, we are gone. So the Mangala Arati has begun already. So this is how we are in clutches of Maya every time. So we have to get out of this Maya. So in fact, the entire world is under false impression that created divisions of false proprietorship. We have nations, we have countries, so everybody is under influence. Then third is freedom from false association. Freedom for false association means Sangha Tyagat, in Nectar of Instruction it is given, Sangha Tyagat. That means association has to be given up. Association of whom is to be given up? Non-devotees, mundane people, those people who are not knowledgeable about Krishna and his opulences. So we have to give up and keep our association limited to the functional level only. So this is false association. And who understand so this is our false association. That false association includes not only this our friend circle or workplace, but social, our family, our organizations, or at the national level. Then we have to understand next is eternal. What is eternal? Eternal, we know that only Krishna is eternal. His Goloka Vrindavan is eternal. This material world is not eternal. It is ashashvatam, it is non-eternal. It is ephemeral. It is also transitory and temporary. Who are freed from dualities of happiness and distress. That means one has to become equiposed. That means he has to be in a state of fixed-minded status, that he is not affected by happiness or sorrow, he is not affected by gain or loss, or he is not affected by other dualities of life, and who is not unbewildered. Unbewildered means when one is ignorant, he is always bewildered. We studied in chapter 14, then person in mode of ignorance was always bewildered. He was always deluded what to do, what not to do, because he had possessed no knowledge. So knowledge is essential if one wants to become unbewildered. So then know how to surrender to the Supreme Person. And who is going to tell us this, how to surrender to Supreme Person? The spiritual master. Because we are mundane people, we are mudha, we do not have knowledge, we are foolish. So we have to get this knowledge from the bona fide spiritual master who has seen, who is Tattvadarshi, or acharyas who are elevated soul, who have studied shastras, who have possess perfect knowledge of Krishna. So this is how one can attain this kind of attain the knowledge of Krishna and also attain his abode. Yes, Mataji.
This verse describes the process of surrendering. Firstly, one should not be deluded by pride. When the conditioned soul thinks he, not the Lord, is the Lord of material nature, surrender to the Lord becomes difficult. Cultivation of real knowledge makes him cognizant that the Supreme Personality is the Lord. The process of surrender begins here. One always expecting some honor in this material world cannot to surrender to the Supreme.
So we know the process, how to surrender. The first one has to acquire this knowledge. And what is this knowledge? That Supreme Personality of Godhead is the owner, proprietor, and maintainer, creator of everything. I am but just here because of my desires, unfulfilled desires, and my three modes of material nature. So we'll end up this at verse number 5, but translation, this explanation may please continue.
Pride is due to illusion, as although one comes here, stays for a brief time, and then goes away. He has the foolish notion that he is the Lord of the world. The associations caused by the familial, social, and national affections are all illusions binding one to the material world. Detaching from these, one has to develop spiritual knowledge. The mundaner should differentiate what is his own and what is not his. This rids him of all the dualities like happiness and distress, pleasure and pain, etc. Once in the full knowledge, he is able to surrender himself to the Supreme Lord.
Thank you, Mataji. So the mundaner should differentiate what is his own and what is not his. He should know. We have already discussed this part, that everything, one has to know that everything belongs to Lord Krishna and nothing belongs to us. We are just custodian. He has given us just allotted certain share to us, and that is ours only. That is Ishavasya principle. And when he knows that why this is why death is taking place, why one person is being rewarded or punished, that when person is in knowledge, he knows that on account of his own actions, impious activities, he is getting punished. He is suffering because of his sinful activities which he has performed. So this is real knowledge. When one knows this thing, then surrender to Lord becomes easy, and one becomes, so this is the graphic representation of verse 5. Yes, Mataji, please.
Who will be able to surrender to the Supreme Person? Nirmana, one who is free from the false prestige or pride. Mo, freedom from illusion. Jita Sangadosha, freedom from false associations. Adhyatma Nitya, understand the eternal. Dvandvair Vimuktaha, freedom from dualities. Vinivrata Kama, done with material lust and unbewildered.
So these are the 5 qualities which were mentioned, or rather 6 qualities which we discussed just now in this verse earlier, that when a person has developed this knowledge, then only he can surrender. A person who has false pride, person who is under illusion, person who has got false association, person who does not differentiate between what is transitory and what is eternal, and person who is suffering from dualities, and person who is bewildered, he cannot surrender to Lord. So this is the process or the steps required for surrendering to the Lord before this knowledge is to be obtained. So we'll stop here. Then section B, it is already 8:10. So we'll stop here. Any questions related to this section A? Prabhuji and Mataji. I have posted attendance link in the group. I'm posting it again. Please fill in the attendance. And tomorrow I may not be available for a class. So if everybody agrees, it would be possible, then we'll discuss it, and possible then we can have a class on Saturday. Because tomorrow there is engagement at 7 p.m. itself, so I will not be available. So we'll close here with closing prayer. Anybody would like to say closing prayer before we close? There is no question. Okay. वाञ्छाकल्प तरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुवा एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की पंथ की जय। श्रीमद् भगवत गीता की जय। श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। Hare Krishna, Prabhuji and Mataji, Dandavat Pranam to all of you. Thank you for your association this evening. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji and Prabhuji. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Dhanyavad, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Mataji.